Hey, Beerfield Fantasy family. It's Saturday. It's week 11. Let's get those in and outs out of the way to make sure you guys don't believe anybody in your fantasy lineup that you shouldn't and give you some alternatives for the guys who are going to miss. First off, let's quick remind you guys, 10:30 tomorrow morning Central Time, we will be jumping in and going over all the inactives for the noon games, covering your start-sit questions, so tweet them at us at BeerfieldFF if you want to ask us any questions here. We do have a thread on our Twitter handle as well. Otherwise, here on YouTube, we will be back YouTube Live. You can ask us any questions you want in the chat, and Hopper will be sure to let us know so we can answer those for you. Individually, I'm at Nick Sparts. We have Dan Thury at ThuryBFF. And lastly is Christopher Hopper at HopBFF with 2 P's. Let's go ahead and jump into the news and start sits ins and outs for you guys. I'm sorry. The 2 pieces of news I got is 2 guys were activated off IR this morning. Jaguars activated D.D. Westbrook, so he'll be available. Currently predicted that he will go for 200 yards against the Browns this weekend. I'm slightly less optimistic. I've got him as a desperation play in my 50s for wide receiver rankings. And then Danny Woodhead was activated from injured reserve. This is really bad news for Buck Allen. I would get Buck Allen out of your lineup, and Danny Woodhead is kind of a fringe flex at best. Let's go ahead and jump through the injury news here. For the Lions at the Bears, the Lions will be missing defensive end Ezekiel Ansah, which I know a lot of people are looking at the Lions as a good defensive start this week. I would slightly lower expectations with him missing with a back injury. He's one of their main generators of sacks. On the Bears side, tight end DM Sims is questionable again with an undisclosed injury, will likely miss. Adam Shaheen is the replacement tight end, but I don't have a lot of expectations for him. Very likely the only pass catcher startable here is going to be Dontrell Inman, and he's a desperation play at best. Moving on to Chiefs at Giants. Chiefs are not missing anyone fantasy relevant, so they're all good to go. Don't worry about them at all. And on the Giants side, wide receiver Sterling Shepard apparently came down with an undisclosed illness today. He's going to be a game-time decision. It's unlikely he will play. So that leaves only Evan Ingram as the only fantasy relevant pass catcher on the Giants. I don't expect Roger Lewis or Tavares King to be a good replacement for Shepard as a replacement wide receiver 1. Buccaneers at Dolphins. Buccaneers have Winston, Hargreaves, and Golston missing. This was all expected. Winston's missing at least this week, maybe missing 1 or 2 more after this as well before his shoulder is fully healed up. Hargreaves and Golston slightly hurts the defense, but the defense is in better shape than it's been pretty much any point during this season. So slightly drop those Parker, Landry, Drake, and Cutler expectations. On the Dolphins side, Kenny Stills is questionable with a back injury. He played through it last week and is expected to play through it again here in Week 11. Ravens at Packers. Offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley is doubtful with a concussion. This would massively hurt the offense. He's a fantastic tackle. So Packers don't have the best defense. Ravens don't have the best offense. This is going to be a huge change, but just slightly lower expectations for Macklin, Wallace, Collins, and other players on that Ravens offense. On the Packers side, we've already had Ty Montgomery and Aaron Jones rolled out this week. Jamal Williams will get all the work with them out, and you should see some Devontae Mays as well, who is the other running back they drafted in this year's draft class. For the Rams and the Vikings, Rams aren't missing anyone fantasy relevant. They're mostly healthy. Vikings are missing 2 people of note. Offensive tackle Mike Remmers is out with his concussion again this week. That will help the Rams pass rush. And then Andrew Sendejo, the safety, is out on defense. He is a huge piece of the run defense, and at the back end of that secondary, this is going to be a slight boost to the Rams offense overall. Specifically, Todd Gurley, I think, gets a big bump from that. For the Cardinals at Texans, wide receiver John Brown is questionable with a back injury. Current reports are he will play through it, but don't expect him to be 100%. I actually really like him in this matchup because the Texans' pass defense has been horrible this season. They're actually, over the last 5 weeks, they're bottom in the NFL. For the Texans side, Will Fuller is going to miss. Bruce Ellington will be the wide receiver 2 in his place. Cardinals are literally the worst defense against wide receiver 2s in the NFL. So Bruce Ellington is a solid replacement, and I think he is a must start if you have him and need a wide receiver 2 type replacement. For the Jaguars at the Browns, Leonard Fournette is questionable with an ankle injury again. He didn't practice Friday. He got limited sessions in Wednesday and Thursday. That's a bad sign. I think he honestly is not going to go. Yeldon should be the one to get first cracks at touches, but it's going to be a split backfield between Yeldon and Ivory if Fournette can't go. And the current report is that even if Fournette goes, it will be in a limited fashion, so drop those expectations. On the Browns side, they're missing nobody fantasy relevant. They have a couple offensive line issues, but everyone is expected to go. Redskins at Saints. Jordan Reed will be missing again this week. His hamstring got re-aggravated before the Week 10 game. Vernon Davis is a tight end 1 in his place. As always, the rule is you start the number 1 tight end for the Redskins in all situations. On the Saints side, they're not missing anyone fantasy relevant. They're 100% ready to go and should crush this Redskins team. For the Bills at the Chargers, Charles Clay is questionable with a knee injury, but he is fully expected to play. It's the same one he was dealing with last week and got his first week of work in. It's a tough matchup against the Chargers, but I know for a lot of people you won't have an option. You will have to play him. Quarterback Phillip Rivers is questionable with concussion. He did get cleared on Friday, and he is going to play tomorrow. Bengals at Broncos. Cornerback Adam Jones is going to miss. This is a boost to Thomas and Sanders because he plays a fixed side of the field, so you'll see Thomas and Sanders rotate, try to draw some easier coverage, and both of them should see a slight boost from that. On the Broncos side, tight end A.J. Derby is out. He's been waived with an injury designation. They're going to try to IR him, but because he's under a 3-year player, they have to waive him, so it's possible he may end up on another roster. Patriots at Raiders. Wide receiver Chris Hogan is out again with his shoulder injury. I'm not expecting him back till at least week 13. He was ruled out on Thursday. Generally, guys who are going to make it back the next week will get ruled out on Saturday. So the fact he's ruled out so early means he's probably 2 weeks out, not 1. On the Raiders side, they're not missing anyone fantasy relevant. Newhouse may miss, but he's not a great right tackle anyway. Last 2 games here. Eagles at Cowboys. Wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey is questionable with an ankle injury. It's expected he will go, but don't expect him at 100%. Thankfully, this isn't the toughest matchup, so Alshon Jeffrey is still a very solid high-end wide receiver 2 this week. On the Cowboys side, they are missing linebacker Sean Lee. This is a huge hit to their run defense. They give up about 5.5 yards a carry when Sean Lee's not in. It's closer to about 3.8 yards a carry when Sean Lee does play. So it's a big boost to Ajayi, Blunt, and Clement. And in addition, him being gone likely also hurts their pass defense because he is the green dot and calls all their adjustments in the passing game. Going to Monday Night Football, got a couple notes here about Falcons at Seahawks. Devontae Freeman has been ruled out with his concussion issue. It is expected he may miss even additional time from this, going all the way up to 12, 13, 14. Second, 2 concussions in a year is very bad news. Tevin Coleman is an RB1 in his place in this matchup, even though it is a tough Seahawks defense. They have enough injuries on that defense, and they feed Coleman enough when Freeman is out that he's still an RB1. On the Seahawks side, left tackle Dwayne Brown likely isn't going to go. He's a game-time decision leaning towards not playing. That would help the Falcons' pass rush, and we might see another repeat of what they did to Cowboys last week, where Claiborne got 6 sacks. Lastly, strong safety Cam Chancellor is out. This is a big ding to the Seahawks defense. They're already missing Sherman and Averill. Now they're missing Cam, so that's 3 big pieces of that defense out. I'm not expecting him to be back this season. I think they do IR him and try to bring him back in the playoffs if they make it. Thank you so much for checking in, guys. As always, at BureFueledFF on Twitter for any start-sit questions you got for us. We'll be back here 10:30 in the morning on Sunday for Week 11 start-sit and general Week 11 questions. Tweet them at us. We'll answer them on Twitter and then also answer them live on air for you. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.